At exactly 3 a.m., Marlene Cooper crouched beside the community pool, her hands trembling as she connected the last wire to the stainless steel handrail. The security lights were dark. She had disabled them hours ago. In her mind, the plan was perfect. Tomorrow, when those noisy Benson kids grabbed the railing to climb into the water, they'd get the shock of their lives. Marlene smiled to herself. No more cannonballs. No more shrieking. No more children. Just silence. Marlene had moved into Silver Maple Estates a month earlier and wasted no time becoming president of the HOA. With her gray hair pulled tightly into a bun and her designer outfits that looked like they belonged at a country club, she ruled the neighborhood like a queen with a clipboard. She had two well-known hates: children and noise. And unfortunately for everyone, her pristine new house sat directly next to the neighborhood's most popular feature, a community pool. The sound of kids splashing, laughing, and enjoying themselves made her blood boil. On her first day as president, she called an emergency HOA meeting and declared, "This pool is a disaster. Children are screaming all day long. I can't even hear my TV." The very next morning, a huge sign appeared with new rules: no splashing, no shouting, no toys. Pool hours, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. only. The community was stunned. The pool had always been a joyful escape during hot summer days. Now it felt like a prison with chlorine. Marlene would watch from her second-floor window with binoculars and scribble down names. She kept logs. "This is just the beginning," she whispered to her cat. "Soon, there will be peace." That dream was shattered the moment the Bensons moved in across the street. Sarah and Dan Benson, along with their three energetic kids, 9-year-old twins, Jake and Josh, and 6-year-old Lucy, arrived with wide smiles and loud laughter. They immediately made friends and, despite Marlene's rules, took full advantage of the pool's limited hours. The next afternoon, the kids ran excitedly into the water, giggling and splashing. From her bedroom, Marlene snapped awake from her nap and stormed outside in her bathrobe. "No splashing. It's clearly posted," she shrieked. Sarah calmly responded, "They're not hurting anyone. They're just playing." That night, Marlene tossed and turned. The Bensons had broken 5 rules. By morning, she had typed a furious letter demanding a new policy: no children under 12 allowed at the pool. At the next HOA meeting, her proposal was crushed 14-1. Only Marlene voted for it. Enraged, Marlene installed 4 high-definition cameras around the pool and monitored every corner from a screen in her living room. Soon after, Lucy ran near the pool, $50 fine. Jake splashed, Josh another $50. Josh brought a beach ball, $75 for an unauthorized toy. In 3 weeks, the Bensons racked up over $500 in violations. Other families weren't spared. The Martins got fined when their teens stayed in until 4:05 p.m. The Nguyen family got a notice because their toddler laughed too loudly. Marlene kept video evidence of everything. But the neighborhood had had enough. Families whispered in driveways, grocery stores, and group chats. "She's completely power mad," muttered Mrs. Alvarez, a 20-year resident. At the next HOA meeting, attendance dropped in half. Marlene didn't care. She announced plans to close the pool for maintenance if behavior didn't improve. Dan Benson stood up, furious. "You can't take the pool from our children." Marlene smiled coldly. "As HOA president, I can declare it unsafe." The next few days were filled with dread. Then came the hottest Saturday of the year. Despite warnings, Sarah and Dan let their kids go swimming, hoping Marlene wouldn't notice amid so many families. But she noticed. From behind her blinds, she saw Jake do a cannonball. That was it. "They'll learn," she whispered, heading to her hiding spot behind a bush near the pool, a power switch clutched in her hand. Her homemade electric trap was ready. But Marlene didn't realize that earlier that morning, Sarah had noticed something strange while hanging laundry-thin black wires running along the pool's edge. She called Jerry Collins, their electrician neighbor. Within minutes, Jerry was inspecting the setup and turned pale. "This is bad," he said. "Someone rigged the handrails to deliver an electric shock. If anyone wet touches these, it could kill them." He followed the wires to a bush just feet from where Marlene crouched. "Call the cops. Now." Sarah's voice shook as she dialed 911. Meanwhile, Marlene, watching the scene unfold on her monitors, grew desperate. She reached for the switch. Just a little shock, she thought. Just enough to scare them. Her finger hovered and then a hand grabbed her shoulder. "Don't move," an officer ordered. Two police officers stood over her, one hand on his gun. "Marlene Cooper, you're under arrest for attempted assault with a deadly weapon." "This is insane," she yelled as they took the switch from her hand and cuffed her. As neighbors gathered in disbelief, the police explained how lethal the setup could have been. Marlene's fingerprints were on every piece of equipment. The receipt for electrical supplies was still in her jacket. 3 days later, the community packed the clubhouse. Mr. Bryant, the interim HOA president, took the podium. The report confirms the setup was potentially deadly, especially to children or anyone with a heart condition. She could face 20 years in prison. Dan Benson stood and said, "What she did was awful, but maybe this is a chance to reset. We're new, but we want this to be a community where everyone feels safe." Sarah joined him. "We've drafted new pool rules that make room for both families and peace." Their plan included extended hours, quiet periods, and family playtime. Parents volunteered for supervision. Teenagers offered to teach swimming lessons. By the end of the night, the community voted to adopt the plan and use HOA funds to install safety upgrades and new seating. The following weekend, the pool reopened with a celebration. The Bensons brought cookies. Others brought snacks and drinks. Kids played. Adults chatted. Even longtime residents said they'd never seen the neighborhood this united. The metal railings Marlene had wired were replaced with bright plastic ones. A new sign hung at the gate. "Welcome to our community, Paola, safe place for everyone." And just like that, Marlene's cruelty had accidentally created the most connected summer Silver Maple Estates had ever seen.